Ryoumen Sukuna, the king of curses and the strongest sorcerer in history. With Sukuna having his quote-unquote ultimate attack being recently revealed in the manga, I thought it'd be the perfect time to finally make this video. To keep it simple, I'll be explaining all of Sukuna's traits, abilities, and techniques in the series of Jujutsu Kaisen in order for readers to get a good understanding of just how formidable he is, and without further ado, since I value both the time of you and I, let's get straight into it. To begin explaining Sukuna's traits, I want to begin with what I consider to be most important of all, as this will only reinforce every other ability of Sukuna's that is to come after it. This being Sukuna's genius level battle IQ and skill when it comes to the usage of all the fundamentals of sorcery. Sukuna boasts immense amounts of curse energy, far surpassing anybody else in the series, including Yuta Okkotsu himself, as he even states that Sukuna has more than double the curse energy of his own. Couple the amount of curse energy that Sukuna normally has access to with his extremely refined and efficient usage of it, and we can see how he was regularly stomping out armies that included sorcerers as powerful as Angel in the Heian era. Sukuna was even stated by Kashimo to have such a divine usage of his curse energy that had Gojo not have the 6 eyes available for use, he would not be able to match Sukuna in utilizing curse energy. As we can see, Sukuna's skill can even match fate itself. Not only does Sukuna boast mastery of curse energy, but he's just as skilled at using binding vows in battle. When faced against Gojo and many sorcerers, he's proven time and time again that he's very much able to think of binding vows that can allow him to increase the strength of himself, a technique, or bypass conditions in order to activate a technique, giving him an opportunity to catch opponents off guard. Sukuna does not only take the fundamentals of Jujutsu sorcery to their utmost limits, but he surpasses them, bringing his Jujutsu to a point where he can defy concepts such as space itself. When it comes to physical specifications, Sukuna, like Gojo, simply overwhelms the entire cast with relative ease. When fighting Jogo at 15 fingers, he was punching him through buildings with ease. When fighting Yuji at 16 fingers, he sent Yuji flying through 2 buildings with a single punch. And when massively nerfed after his battle with Gojo, he has enough strength to casually pick up and throw someone as powerful as Kashimo in his Phantom Beast Amber transformation like he was your book bag flying on a bed after a long ass day of school. Reinforce his strength with curse energy output, and he can carve through anything that's not Gojo with absolute ease. His strength is simply on another level. As for his speed, the same applies when compared to the rest of the cast. He has blitzed majority of the cast at his 15-16 finger state. Notable characters include Ryu, Jogo, Yuji, Kusakabe, etc. He even blitzed Kashimo after reincarnating. Sukuna in his 20 finger state could more than likely clear most of the cast with his speed and strength alone, and would have had Gojo not been present to weaken him before their final battle. Sukuna also is just very skilled as a fighter when it comes to simple hand-to-hand combat. In a weakened state, he was able to parry both Maki and Yuji strikes at the same time, and as Sukuna seems to be a hand first, curse technique second kind of guy, we can assume that he's refined his hand-to-hand combat ability over the years. Moving on from the foundation of Sukuna's strength and overwhelming dominance over the cast of the entire series, we go into his ability to utilize the Black Flash. The Black Flash is an attack that can only occur when the user applies curse energy within 1/1,000,000th of a second to a physical strike. This creates a distortion of space and causes the user's curse energy to both flash black and amplify the power of said strike to the power of 2.5. Sukuna in recent chapters has been able to lock in hard enough to drop 4 of these in a row, so it does show that it's something he can possibly pull out if again, he locks in hard enough. The Black Flash will also allow the user to tap into 120% of their potential, have a permanent increased understanding of the fundamentals of curse energy manipulation, and depending on the user, give them a certain bonus effect. From what we have seen from Sukuna, the bonus effect he obtains is the ability to regain his domain expansion at an increased speed. However, when Sukuna did get this bonus, it was a very conditional and unique situation. Moving on from the fundamentals of combat, we'll go into the fundamentals of barrier techniques that Sukuna has access to. First is the Hollow Wicker Basket. Hollow Wicker Basket basically serves as a prototype of the anti-domain technique that is Simple Domain. To cast this technique, you need to clasp both of your hands and keep them in front of you to maintain this barrier. As Sukuna was practicing sorcery 1,000 years ago, Simple Domain had not yet been created to counter domain expansions, so he has to use the Hollow Wicker Basket. The differences between these two techniques seem to be that Hollow Wicker Basket nullifies short hit techniques without being able to be broken the way that Yuki's Simple Domain was when she was fighting Kenjaku. But as we can see with Kusakabe, Simple Domain can be manipulated to have conditions that allow it to serve a different purpose then just nullifying the sure hit of a domain expansion. Hollow Wicker Basket seems to also serve as a counter that is designed to outlast the opponent's domain expansion. It is also a better option for Sukuna when he's within a domain due to having 4 arms. Sukuna can use 2 of his arms to cast the barrier and continue to fight as he has the hand sign active, unlike any other sorcerer in the series. So it's just very broken when it's used by Sukuna, but really anybody else, they have to survive within the domain expansion and just hope they can take the attacks. Another barrier technique that Sukuna has access to is domain amplification. Amplification, as its namesake suggests, amplifies the user's curse energy, and the effect of this is creating an aura that contains its own domain. When activating this, the user can either neutralize or weaken curse techniques. In his battle against Satoru Gojo during the Shinjuku Showdown arc, we would see Sukuna utilize this ability in order to neutralize Gojo's Limitless, and he'd have so much finesse in his usage of this that he'd be able to keep it active while his domain expansion was in use. He was also able to swap in between using his amplification and using the 10 shadows to adapt to Gojo's Limitless with almost no difficulty, displaying not only his skill level with this technique, but also his intelligence in how he uses it. With this, we can jump into his own abilities rather than the fundamental ones that everybody else has access to in the series. First and foremost, Sukuna's own innate curse technique, Shrine. Shrine is the ability that allows Sukuna to cook his opponents, and I guess we can say both metaphorically and literally, depending on how he goes about it, if you like your food completely burnt. Sukuna's Shrine is an umbrella that contains 3 techniques: Dismantle, Cleave, and Furnace. First, Dismantle is Sukuna's normal range slashes, and it's designed to destroy things that are inanimate for a reason that we'll be touching on very soon. But it works for really any other situation he would need it for. Sukuna has trained this ability to such a level that he can shred people into cubes while having hands in his pocket, a testament to his skill as a sorcerer. Sukuna would also come to evolve this technique in his battle with Gojo, creating the slash that cuts the world. Due to Gojo's limitless barrier, Sukuna would have trouble bypassing it, and thus would have to create a technique that would bypass the concept of space itself and extend the target area of his slashes to the world. This allowing Sukuna to send an ultra powerful dismantle that can simply hit any target he would want it to, rather than attempting to travel through the never-ending distance that is the barrier of the Limitless. This technique was designed with the purpose of defeating the Limitless, but obviously, if it can cut anything, it has more use than just its original purpose. In order for Sukuna to cast this technique against Gojo in the terrible condition he was in, he would have to place a permanent binding vow upon himself for any future usage of this ability. This binding vow would entail for Sukuna to always require using the hand sign of his domain expansion, which takes up 2 of his arms, and using a 3rd arm to point this attack in the direction that he wants to send it in. And lastly, perform a chant to enhance the technique. Sukuna cannot use this technique without 3 of his arms in preparation. The original requirements to cast this technique before the binding vow are still unknown. After Dismantle comes the other blade of Sukuna's, Cleave. Cleave is another form of Sukuna slashes that has the ability to adjust its strength depending on the durability of its target and the strength of their curse energy. It seems to be able to cut through anything and everything, as we've never seen it not cut anything. Sukuna can also manipulate this technique a bit, as he did when using Spiderweb and collapsing the ground in a spiderweb shaped cleave. This technique seems to be primarily used to destabilize the footing of his opponents by collapsing the ground beneath them instantly. Most important for last, Cleave can only be used when Sukuna makes physical contact with what he desires to cut. So, after Sukuna prepares his opponents with both Cleave and Dismantle, he gains access to the Furnace. The Furnace serves as an arrow of fire that can incinerate any opponent that Sukuna hits with it. This technique has immense firepower, but is stated to lack in speed and range. It was able to hit Jogo though, so I don't know how reliable that statement truly is. Now we move on from Sukuna's flames to his ultimate technique in domain expansion, the Malevolent Shrine. In order to cast the Malevolent Shrine, Sukuna must cast the Mudra of Enmaten. Upon doing this, his domain expansion will manifest a shrine decorated with many skulls into the real world, instead of creating a separate barrier such as almost every domain expansion does. It's stated that being able to accomplish this feat of realizing your own domain without using a barrier is akin to an artist painting a masterpiece not on a canvas but thin air. It's stated that this is a divine technique. The moment that this technique is casted, it will relentlessly dice all Sukuna designates as a target within its sure hit effective range. Those who possess curse energy will be hit by Cleave, and anything that does not will be hit by dismantle. These two techniques do not only serve to carve Sukuna's targets, but to carve them and everything around them into complete dust and debris. This same dust and debris will then be matted in an explosive curse energy akin to his furnace. Not only this, but Sukuna combines this with only allowing living beings to have entry into the domain expansion, which seals everything within it airtight while maintaining the output of the power of the domain expansion. As Sukuna has all of his targets contained and sealed within an airtight box alongside the dust and debris that is matted with the explosive curse energy, he will launch the flames from the furnace, and all of this combined generates a massive chain explosion that has all of its power condensed within the range of Sukuna's malevolent shrine. It is impossible for any character in the series to take this attack directly and survive it, as this serves as Sukuna's ultimate attack. It's a bit convoluted, but TLDR, the shrine will cut everything to dust, spread that dust everywhere, mix all of the dust with explosive curse energy, then shoot the flame at the dust, exploding it many times over to create a massive vortex of explosions, all concentrated and contained within its area of effect. After Sukuna's primary technique, that is his shrine, comes what seems to serve as a secondary technique, his 10 shadows. Sukuna has recently obtained this curse technique by possessing the body of Megumi Fushiguro and can likely only use this technique when possessing Megumi Fushiguro's body. The 10 shadows technique gives Sukuna the permanent control of 10 Shikigami by using shadows as an intermediary and forming the shape of said Shikigami out of them. These Shikigami can serve to help Sukuna in battle in many ways, such as fighting alongside him, healing him, or providing him a method of escape. If Sukuna summons any of these Shikigami and they are killed, they will be permanently gone, and their strength and abilities will be passed on to the other Shikigami, enhancing their capabilities. Most used of these Shikigami when it comes to Sukuna are Maharaga, a monstrous being who carries the sword of extermination, an extremely powerful blade that can be imbued with regular or reverse curse energy, and in the instance of reverse curse energy, it'd be able to one-shot any curse in the series. Not only this, Maharaga boasts the ability to adapt to all and any phenomena, as it was even able to adapt to Gojo's limitless barrier and surpass it. There's also the Tranquil Deer, a gigantic deer Shikigami with the ability to use reverse curse energy and heal its user, the energy being so powerful that it can neutralize any matter imbued with normal curse energy. There's also Rabbit Escape, a swarm of rabbit Shikigami that serve as a distraction for the opponent and allow its user to escape almost any situation. Sukuna has the ability to merge Shikigami and create Nue, Merge Beast Agito. This is a merge of 4 Shikigami. Nue has the base Shikigami, and then the Great Serpent, Tiger Funeral, and the Tranquil Deer have all been merged into Nue. This Shikigami was used against Gojo and was basically there to put more pressure on Gojo by not only having another contender in the battle of the strongest, but had he left Sukuna alone for too long, he could use Agito to begin healing himself. So it also served to hold Gojo's attention. Agito serves as a very powerful tool in Sukuna's kit because it's not only quite powerful, but again, it holds the ability to heal its teammates, making it very troublesome for anyone to deal with in a battle against Sukuna, as you would have to prioritize it. Lastly, when it comes to the usage of the 10 shadows, Sukuna has enough skill to partially manifest his Shikigami, as he can use the water from Max Elephant as a jet-like projectile, or he can use the Dharma Chakra from Maharaga's head to adapt to his opponent's techniques without having Maharaga on the field. This displays how much finesse he has with the 10 shadows, as if it wasn't already a super versatile technique. So as we move on from the 10 shadows, we now have Sukuna's ability to perform a transformation through reincarnation. However, this method could only be used one time only. When hosting the body of another, Sukuna has the ability to intentionally suspend restoring his original body and can choose to maintain the body of the one he's currently possessing. If that body is pushed too close to death, Sukuna can choose the option of restoring his original body and incarnating into the forearm state we see in the story. This incarnation does not give Sukuna a complete restore though. It only serves to restore his body's physical condition and give him access to the forearm state that has its own benefits. Damage to his brain and soul will remain the same and will not be healed. To go over the benefits of being in this forearm state, we first and foremost have what is considered by the narrator to be the greatest advantage in the story, which is having twice the number of arms and mouths. What this gives Sukuna the ability to do is chant incantations with no strain on his heart or lungs and create hand signs for his Jujutsu while still having 2 hands free. Incantations and hand signs have the ability to further amplify your sorcery, and Sukuna can essentially reap these benefits while fighting like any other sorcerer. Sukuna having 4 arms gives him enhanced hand-to-hand combat and is likely what he's more used to. This state again also allows him to use Hollow Wicker Basket with much more efficiency, as he can use 2 hands to create the anti-domain barrier and use his other 2 hands to continue fighting inside of said domain. It seems to overall act like a phase 2 in a Dark Souls game. Lastly, we have Sukuna's cursed tool Kamutoke. All Kamutoke seems to do is instantly discharge a bolt of lightning from the sky. From the only instance of it being used, it seems to be very hard to avoid, and not only that, quite powerful, as it was stated that luck would have it that Kashimo was immune to it. I also believe the fact that it was removed from the story right after Kashimo, the only character who's completely immune to it, was killed off, can imply that it was just too powerful for the story. It would have swept the main cast of characters if Sukuna was to keep it for their battle. So yeah, take this with a grain of salt, but Kamutoke is as powerful as all of Sukuna's normal techniques. But since it has its own output rather than using Sukuna's, it'd be a big no-no for the plot of Jujutsu Kaisen and would have to be removed instantly. With all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this pretty long video of me breaking down all of Sukuna's abilities, and if we manage to get an explanation behind Heat 10, I'll just update the video with the explanation of it and re-upload it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and of course, I will catch you all in the next one. Peace out.